This is part 2 of the Yeoman Rand wig tutorial series. So in the first video, we got through cutting up our wig, creating our sections, weaving them together, and having the basket weave portion. So what we're going to focus on now is how to create the beehive bump and attach it to the wig. For this next step, now I'm going to go ahead and take my bath poof and the wig that I cut all the hair off of, and I'm going to go ahead and stuff the poof into the wig cap, and I'm using my curved needle now, and I'm going to take my thread and I'm simply going to sew it shut. So as I work through here, I'll keep stitching from the netting to the netting. You'll probably want to go ahead and make sure you're catching your stitches on some of the ribbon that goes around inside the wig cap, not just the netting, to just make it a little more secure. But you're just going to sew that up, and then you're going to end up with this little hairy tribble. Now, like I said before, you're going to leave the long bangs in the front. That'll help us blend. And we have those two long strips on either side that we'll use as I combine it to the main wig and blend them all together. That's what we're going to do next. Now I'm going back to the long wig, and I pin it onto the styrofoam foam with a lot of pins. I don't want it moving in this point. I also braid the back of it just to keep the hair out of the way. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to attach the hair tribble onto the back of it using big safety pins at this point. This is one of the points that you want to go very slowly on and don't rush. Pin it on and check your placement. And as you can see here, I've given you a view from the front, side, and back where you can see how the placement is. And one of the things that's important is, remember I said we keep the bangs, have the bangs in the back. That'll flow down and help you blend. So you'll have the short, ragged part in the front. Don't worry about it. We'll be covering it. And you're going to pin it on. Now that you have it pinned on, this is a good time to do a rough trim of your bangs. Don't take them too short because, again, you can't put it back on, but start helping you see how the wig's going to look. Remember, she has the long bangs on the side, so leave some of them long to frame the face. So those are the little curly cues, and it's going to curl under a little bit. This is also a good time to try on the wig with its safety pin, because this is one of the most crucial steps in terms of how happy you're going to be with the wig. That placement of the bump really makes or breaks it. Right now you can see it's a little off balance, so I straightened it out a bit with pinning later on. You want to also think about how tall or flat you want it, and think about the placement of the bump on your head. If it's too far back, the weight is going to pull you back and it's not going to be as comfortable to wear. So think about having a nice, pretty centered place there, and look at it from all of the sides. So now that I'm happy with it, I'm going back to using my curved needle. Sorry, I forgot to take a video of this step. And I'm going to sew down that bump, because right now it's only held on by a couple safety pins. I just go through there, sew it from the bump to the main wig. Sew it really good. Don't forget to sew it on in the back. And once I have it nice and secure and I'm happy with the fit, I'm going to move on to the next step, which is attaching the basket weave. Now we're going back to the basket weave piece that we had set aside to let dry. Turn it over and trim the foam away as closely as possible. And at this stage, you can still move the hair a little bit to get the coverage you need, and then just saturate it with your strong hairspray. You don't want this stuff moving. You're going to use a lot of hairspray this next couple bit. Once you let that dry, then we're going to take that basket weave piece and trim along the bottom edge so that the hair is pretty even. Leave the left and right side and the top long and open. I had those braided out of the way. Just go ahead and have that free now. And place it onto the bump and use your safety pins again to pin it into place, and check that several times to make sure it's a location you like. Once you have it pinned on right and you're happy with it, go back to your curved needle and use your thread to sew through the hair bump. Try to get to the wig cap if possible to attach that basket weave onto your bump. Don't worry about blending quite yet, because the next thing I'm going to show you is what we're doing with those two long pieces I told you to leave on the hair tribble. So here you can see how I've sewn on the basket weave. You can see my stitches there. And now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead to my next step where I'm going to use those long strands we left. So I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to dab that around at the base, because what I'm going to be doing is creating that lower band that covers that ugly transition there. So don't go crazy, because that makes it look plasticky if it's on the hair that we actually see. But dab it around along the base, light coverage using your sponge brush. And once you have that done, then you're going to go ahead and take that long strand, smooth it out, make sure it's nice and straight. Take that across, smooth it easily over that band. You're only using one of the sides right now. I find it helpful to use a pin to go ahead and tack that into place. Once you have that nice and smooth, you got to leave it to dry for a while. Once you let that side dry, let it dry all the way, don't rush this part. Go ahead and just repeat the process with the other side. Put down your Mod Podge, straighten out the piece, smooth it across, make sure it looks nice, pin it if you need to, and then let it dry completely. So by this point, it's looking really close. We've got the band dry, and that's going to wrap up stage 2 of the tutorial. In stage 3, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the styling and finish it up and show you the finished product.